Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another video. This time around doing a build guide for the monk on Diablo 3. This is specific to the Ina set, and I'm also doing this as the season 14 is coming out. So there might be some changes in the future. I don't know. It hasn't been changed for a very long time, but this is one of my favorite builds for doing. It's one of the low tier ones though, so don't expect to go very, very high on this. I would suggest you go on Icy Veins or something like that and actually checking out one of the high tier builds and do some of those. But this is one of my favorites because you can both take it as a solo, but you can later on take it as the main number one build as a support if you want to go with this Ina sets. Of course, there's some different in that, but I'm gonna focus on the kind of the solo play of these. But first I will go over the skills, and then I will go over the gear that you are going to get in this season, because the season journey gear is of course Ina's for season 14. So first of all, let's go over the skills that you're going to have. The first one is 100 fists with annihilation, and of course when you did have that third hit, you will get that extra 5% for how many enemies you have been hit. So it does a lot of damage just by hitting that third one. Next thing is, of course, you want dashing strike, and you can do blazing or blinding speed, sorry, to get an extra dodge if you want to get that. You can also use some other ones, doesn't really have to be, but it's a little bit more defensive, the 40 dodge, but you can basically do whatever you want. Maybe you want the extra charges or something else, but I'm using the blinding speed at least. Next thing you really want to get, this is also important, I will go over in the gear, because you actually use Cyclone Strike with Implosion, which means that you will pull them all together, all the monsters, which it makes it easier for your allies or for allies or whatever allies to basically destroy them all. And it also gives you a defensive, we'll get that into some of the shoulders that you have to get if you want to. You can still do this, but it just gives you a defensive aspect if you do get the gloves, or sorry, the shoulders. So that is why we use Cyclone Strike, and again, it makes it easier for the allies to defeat the enemies. Next thing is, of course, Empathy, and that also goes with Desert Strato, so you actually get the less damage. So this is basically just a defensive cooldown, and also increases your spear regen, which you really don't use a lot of, to be honest. But yeah, it's a defensive thing. Next is Inner Sanctuary. It also, again, is a protective. Your allies will doing the most of the damage, so you really just want some defenses in there. That's why it also doesn't make like a lot of damage, or not a high tier one, because you're really reliant on your allies to do the damage, and they do a lot of good damage. I really feel I've always liked this build because of actually doing so much damage and not requiring so much in the end. And of course, the last thing you need is a kind of mystical ally. We use the physical one because then it basically just goes physical, and you don't get all these other things. So it's I don't know the specific why you would not use it. I just know that what I've read and guides and stuff like that, other guides, is that they don't use it because of the extra one. I think it's because of the damage increase. I'm pretty sure that the ally increases 50% for 10 seconds. So that, I think that's why it is, now that I think about it. For passive, you want to use Harmony, so you get that, of course, resistance. The next thing, of course, is cooldowns, because you want this Mystic Ally cooldown to be down as much as you can, and also this one. So you want to be Beacon of Utah. It, of course, use that. Next thing is, of course, dealing enemies above 75 also increases your attack speed. That really helps with your 100 fists to do the extra damage and getting that third hit, so you can again get more these stacks, so you can do more damage. Unity is really amazing because it actually increases your damage because of all of these allies around you, and you always have them around. This is more actually focused on like party play, but as we use it at here, it's absolutely amazing. So that was going over the skills you want. And then, of course, for the gear is that you want these shoulders. I'm not going to pronounce them, but as you can see, Cyclone Strike reduces the damage you take by 40%. So it has harmony with the Cyclone Strike, as I said before. So it becomes even more, you even have more defenses just by using this. Next thing you want, of course, the Ina set. You just want all the parts of the Ina set almost. You don't want the feet because I will also go over that in a little bit. But basically, you just want Inas on everything, on all the sets around here. Because you want to use the boots, you want to use these ones, the cursed boots or cured boots. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce those, but the thing is that they make mystical allies, summon 2 allies to fight for you at your side. That's why I have so many guys standing around me, and I can actually take them off. And there you can see they all kind of disappeared. I can put them back on, and then there we actually got double the amount of guys. So we actually do double damage with these. So these are actually some of the most important ones for the Ina set. So if you're rolling for, of course you get the Ina set from the journey, but if you're looking for a thing to roll for, you definitely want to roll for the boots. You can also use the Ina's boots, that's fine, but you really just want these boots as that double damage. That is the one that's going to give you most damage in this build. For the neck, we want the Traveler's Pledge, again with physical damage rolled on it. We use Pain Enhancer to get that extra bleed damage when we crit. Also, it gives, again, more attack speed towards our ways of the 100 Fists. And of course, we use, of course, the Combat Rose to get that damage and also that damage reduction if we're standing still and so on. The other thing you want to use is, of course, Unity. If you want that one, doesn't really matter which one else you use. But of course, if you do have an ally and you're mostly doing this by solo, right? You do have a Unity on here. And there's not really any other ring you want to use for it. Maybe Conversion of Elements, but that's what I'm going to put in the cube, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. For the bracers, you want to use the Binding of the Lesser Gods because of Cyclone Strike. Again, every time you hit that, you also increases your damage by your ally. So that does a lot of damage. This is very important as well. So I would definitely say try to get the boots first and then get the wrist or the bracers, whatever you're gonna call them, after that. So that was basically the gear. You can see everything here again: Unity, Combat Rose, Traveler's Pledge, Binding to the Lesser Gods, and the Ina set, and of course the Cyclone Glove or shoulders. To go over, of course, the Canaris Cube is that we want to use Flying Dragons to, again, double our attack speed, or a chance for it at least, to get in there. You can basically use more everything. You can also use, where is it? Let me find it. Yeah, you can also use the Furnace, for example, for the elite damage if you want that, but you can basically do whatever you want to, whatever you find in here. It's not the super most important one. Next thing is the Spirit Guards. Again, it's a damage reduction for 60% when you use your Spirit generated reduces your damage taken. So that when you've used this one, the Way of the 100 Fists, you will get another damage reduction by 60% for 3 seconds because of this. And the last thing is, of course, the Conversion of Elements is kind of awesome because you basically have all the elements, and you want to kind of do it in this way. To have it in here to maximum the damage. You can go different, like if you have a really good conversion of elements, you can use it here and then use the Unity here if you want to, but there's really no other rings or anything like that that really benefits you besides this one. So this one is really important. Of the 3 of these, this is the most important one. Then it's the Spirit Gods, and then of course it's the Flying Dragons. And again, you can use whatever you want to in the weapon slot. But basically, that is the build for this one. Not too very long, but again, if you want to see whatever I talked about before, you can always go back in the video and check it out again. If this guide actually helped you and you actually liked this one, make sure you guys like this video and give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!